All right, good pod for you today, everybody listening at home. Thank you again for tuning in. Hot one, too. We got a heat wave, extreme heat warning here in the Midwest. Jack, I hope that AC of yours, the new AC, is pumping in your home that you do own as a humble guy. It's cranking here, but the pod studio, it's hot. I get warm as it is. I'm sweating. I'm sure you can tell if you're watching on video here. A little uncomfortable, but playing through it, playing through a little bit of an injury here, injury being a little bit sweaty, and but a good pod. Brady Pearson joining us, young stud on the Magic who had himself a great series against the Gators, and the Magic took that series 2-1, so we're breaking that one down. Jack went yard. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. Jack, one word to describe how you're feeling coming into this podcast, given the fact that you went yard.
Bangarang.
Oh, thank you. That was the correct answer there, and I was hoping you got the memo. So, great pod. Looking forward to you all listening and enjoying it. This is the Pipe It Up podcast, and cue the intro. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Pipe It Up podcast, the official podcast of MLW Wiffle Ball. Jack Aigner joining me, and we have a special guest on the call tonight, Brady Pearson. Dare I say rookie sensation, Jack? Are we using those words? It's probably too soon.
It's probably too soon. Maybe a little too soon. Maybe too soon. Brady had a good series. Happy we were able to get him on the pod. We've got a lineup of questions for him, but yeah, it was a great series for Brady. So welcome on the pod, Brady.
I appreciate you guys having me on here.
We appreciate you joining us. We invited Brady's other young comrade, RJ Walgate, but he was unable to make it due to basketball. But glad to have Brady on. Brady, welcome to the league. Welcome to the pod. I think Kyle actually might have said this. You had your coming out party in last series, and I would agree. It felt like every time you were at the plate, I expected you to make contact, whereas that is not the norm in this league, but very much like a Landon Urgitis, a Daniel Schultz, just guys putting it in play consistently. And you did that against the Gators pretty successfully. So, with that, great job. And just how surreal is it, first of all, to rewind even before this performance, but just how surreal was it, opening day for you and the Magic, with you suiting up after watching your brother play for so many years? How cool was that first outing for you?
Super unbelievable. Obviously, everybody talks about how surreal it is when they first get in the league. But it's just I'm gonna give you the default answer of how it is. You really can't make it up. That feeling that you get of finally being even driving up to the Meadows when you're driving up that dirt road. It's just all the nerves start setting in, and then you guys start warming up, and then when you guys are actually playing, it's just holy, I'm actually in the league now. And no, like I said, I've been in my mic'd up session. I said I've been watching the league since 8 or 9 years old, and yeah, dude, it is just it's just crazy. I mean, I can't even put into words. I'm so happy to just be in the league.
Yeah, that picture or a couple pictures that Kyle flashed in the video of the tournaments were pretty that was just the you feel old yet memes type. Seeing the pictures, Tommy, of you and Kyle, you guys don't really look that much older now than you did in that picture. It looks like that picture could have been taken yesterday, and you're with Brady, and Brady just looks like a completely different human.
Yeah,
I thought that was so funny.
Yeah, it is wild though, Jack, because we saw Brady doing backflips in whatever it was, 2018 or 2019 at the first ever Wiffle in the Mitten tournaments. And you just kind of knew, Jackson was a great athlete. You could tell Brady was super athletic. And, when you were as young as we were at the time, which was a little older than Brady, we were probably, 18 or 19 years old. Thinking about the year 2025 just seemed like a different universe, I definitely knew it was coming and had plans or aspirations for MLW, personal life, whatever. But still, it just seemed so far away. And now to be sitting here interviewing Brady on a podcast, his rookie debut, and just it's weird. It is definitely weird. And I'm not going to say it felt like yesterday, but it doesn't feel like long ago when Jackson was the prospect and Brady was just I thought one day it'd be cool if Brady played too, It's weird, but I'm sure you've been,
for sure.
I'm sure you've watched all of Jackson's series, once he got in the league. And I'm sure that instantly you were like, I got to do this too. As a little brother, I'm sure that was like the best thing to chase after from your bigger brother.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Love that.
Is it, would you say it's weird? I guess I want to ask you, like having watched the videos of the guys that you knew on the Magic, how has the clubhouse been like versus like what you might have expected? There's some older guys in the clubhouse, but we've got RJ too, keeping us young. Johnny's kind of in the middle there. Like, how would you describe the vibe of the Magic clubhouse to the listeners?
Oh, it's a great clubhouse. You got AJ, who's more of on the quiet side, but still a good guy to be around. RJ is always bringing the vibes. Jack, obviously a great manager, always good to talk to. Pretty much everybody. I mean, I haven't really met. I mean, I've met Curdy and Bonham before, but like I've never obviously talked to them at the series. But no, everybody's been like super nice, and it's been great vibes at the clubhouse.
This is a classic recurring pipe it up question, but we gotta ask this question because I think the listeners probably find it pretty entertaining. But Brady, you watched the league for 6 years, almost half your life. And where did you want to go? Did you want to go to the Magic? Was there a specific team you were like, man, it'd be really cool to play for them, whether it was because of a specific player on that team or if it was simply because of maybe the team's like jerseys or their hats? Where did you want to go in your perfect world? There's no wrong answers. This is a safe space.
Okay. All right. So I think like honestly, like I said my favorite player in that 2019 Mitten video was Kyle, but like as I like matured and got older, I think like after that 2021 World Series, just crazy performance from Jimmy, I think my favorite player and just Jimmy's a character. Like just being around Jimmy, like I think that just made me like want to be on his team if I ever had the chance to play in this league. So I would maybe say downtown, like I would say maybe D-backs. And I mean, I didn't even, just any team would be cool for me. But like I would say maybe the D-backs if I had to choose. If like, you know what I'm saying.
D-backs Magic.
Yeah, that's
Slate
a fair
3.
answer.
D-backs Magic, Slate 3. Watch out. Big matchup coming up.
Yep.
That's a fair answer. I think it would be hard for anyone to say they wouldn't want to play on the Diamondbacks. They also just seem like a very fun clubhouse. And, they kind of came online and had a bunch of their success really, I think, when the league started to really hit a different growth trajectory than it had before. So I think a lot of the new fans and people watching just naturally gravitate to the Diamondbacks because they were like a new team at the time and were really good. So no shade there. I don't think that was a bad answer at all. I did want to ask you though, I had high hopes for you coming into the league, and seeing you do so well in this series was kind of like a confirmation of I think what I thought you could be. But what do you think personally has made you be able to have so much success this early on in the league? I know you've watched the videos, you kind of knew the style of MLW and have played wiffle ball in the past, but there is a lot of, there is a transition to this league and our rules and our mound and all that stuff. So I guess, what do you think's made you the most successful?
I mean, obviously, as you guys know, like I think just having a brother that plays in MLW that has been playing way longer than me in the league, and it's kind of been like, all right, we're gonna play like MLW style here. We're gonna play 72-mile-an-hour speed limit. It's kind of got me used to like, not like obviously it's different when you're actually playing. Everything's there, but like me and Jackson, like in the summer, we try to play as much as we can almost every single day, and just in the backyard, and it's always really competitive game against us. So I think just playing as much as you can playing as much as I can help me with Jackson like coming into the league.
Yeah, I mean, it shows. Jack, I just had this conversation with Commissioner Kyle Schultz a few minutes ago, actually, and it seems simple, but I'll say it. These young guys that come into the league and are drafted, it's just so apparent that they play this game so much, just like we used to. But when you have your summers more available when you're still in high school or maybe your early college years and you're playing wiffle ball, 4 times a week at a minimum, it really shows in the at-bats you see as rookies or even, second-year players in Brady and Levi Fleer and Ty Frenznick and Jeremy Adams and guys like that. You can just tell play the game so much because they don't have that shell-shocked look to them as rookies. They get in that plate, in that batter's box, and they just look so comfortable. Like Brady, like I said, every time you stepped into the batter's box this series, by the end of the series, end of the video, like it was all right, this is now the Magic's best hitter. And that's not shade to anybody else. Jack, you still went yard. We got to talk about that in a minute. But
yeah, thanks.
Just you look so comfortable.
That'll be the last 30 minutes of the episode, so stick around. We're going to talk about that for a while.
If you fast forward just to like the second half of the episode, there's a likely chance it's just Jack lecturing about his moment of glory. But Brady, you just had that veteran presence in the box. This might be off by, this was plus or minus, a hit or two here, but I think you were 4 for 8 with 4 RBIs in the day, a couple of bombs, just so relaxed. And I mean, you play so much. Did you, let's be honest, I think I asked this to somebody else too this year, another rookie, maybe it was Dustin Staggs, but did you think you'd come in and be successful right away, or did you have some nerves like, man, I hope I'm able to hit off these great pitchers in MLW? What were your true thoughts, if you would like to share?
Yeah, honestly, I came into the league, obviously, when you get there and you, describing, the meadows and everything, it's different when you're, actually there. But, coming into the league, I actually was super confident in myself, and I thought I would do big things, in my first year.
I love that. That's impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still early, but it's a good start, huh, Jack?
Yeah.
Good start.
I gotta say, when I had my first kind of introductory call with Brady, when we were kind of deciding who we were gonna pick, and ultimately, make a trade to add 2 pieces. Brady was really that piece that we traded for and added. I was shocked after the initial phone call to realize that he was I don't remember the exact time frame. I think you actually would have been 14 at the time.
Yeah, I was 14.
Because you just turned 15. So I was very he just, even on the phone, didn't seem like a 14-year-old. So what you're saying, Tommy, of him just kind of stepping in and looking confident in the batter's box. I mean, it didn't feel weird to me, just because I don't even really look at Brady as a 15-year-old, because he seems older than that. Mm-hmm. That being said, there is this kind of, cohort of young guys in the league, some of which you're friends with, in MLW, on our team and outside. So I guess who are the guys that you're closest with, throughout MLW outside Jackson, and who do you think is kind of the standout guys in that group, talent wise?
Okay, that's a good question, and I don't want to throw shade on anybody, because guys are kind of putting me on the spot here. So if I forget anybody, I'm sorry in advance. But I'd say the people that I'm definitely closest with is Evan, Ty, Levi, Jeremy, all young guys, right?
Yeah. Makes sense.
I'd say those 4, all the WR people, Trey, Landon, all those people that I played in leagues before MLW. I think just everybody in that WR Bay City environment.
Yeah. So who would you say, if you had to pick one or two guys, one or two? Who do you think's kind of in your mind? Having played in other leagues, other tournaments, and MLW, who do you think's the overall best whiffler?
Oh wow! All right. I'd say I'll go Trey. I'll go Trey Flood.
Hey,
oh, all right.
Little Mallow.
All right.
What is it about Trey's game that in other ML, besides we've seen what he can do in MLW. We've all seen that. But you've seen him play in a couple other leagues around Michigan here, Southeast Michigan. What is it about Trey that you really like about his game?
I love that he's a two-way. I've faced Trey so many times. He's got a really good arsenal. Changes speeds really well on the mound. He's just overall a really good pitcher. It's never a guy I can really hit off well. I've never seen him well. And then at the plate, in just this last Bay City tournament I was at, he went yard off me in a semifinal game when I was playing with Grant. So and obviously in MLW he's been doing big things. He's really like formed into a good hitter this last year. So yeah, I mean Trey is a good two-way, and I mean he's just I love Trey. He's a good guy.
Yeah, he's a great guy. And Trey, again, can do it on the mound, can do it at the plate at times. Brady, you also tried to take the mound in game 2 on this series. I'm not going to say it went fantastic, but the Magic are definitely looking for, depth there in the bullpen, with Bonham's role sort of fading. RJ being so strong as an ace, he looked like he was in his, purest form this week. But do you have aspirations of one day, being an elite two-way guy, if you want to call it that, a Travis Hunter per se? Do you want to do it on both the mound and at the plate in MLW?
No, that's definitely my goal. I think I have to work on both sides of my game still, hitting and pitching. But I think pitching I need to be better and just continue practicing. But yeah, that's definitely an aspiration of mine. Like being a good two-way is probably my goal right now in MLW.
That's sweet.
Yeah, it's still early on. I think the pitching, I will say, like Tommy, to your point, the batting, the batting is really like age irrelevant. Like if you can put a bat on the ball and you're playing a lot of wiffle ball and you're seeing a lot of, pitches, like that hand-eye coordination will translate. I think the pitching is what's harder for new guys to come in and be so successful at, because I would say the one thing that benefits them is nobody has scout on them. But then again, everybody I feel like kind of comes into this league and they're, one of the first things they say is like the strike zone's like so small. Like it looks so small, but it is it is actually smaller than like what a lot of guys are used to playing on. And I know the mound's maybe a little bit closer. But the hitters are so good in this league. I feel like it's, the rule changes going from like all the other different formats that you have to play in other leagues and other tournaments, like pitching wise, is harder to be consistently good at in MLW. Whereas like hitting, if you're hitting in like fast pitch versus like 72 mile an hour, like you're still just tracking like a ball to your bat. Like I understand there's differences there, but in my opinion, like I think it's a little bit harder. So I think Brady's got the tools, and like you said, got to keep practicing, got to keep getting reps. You're going to keep getting reps. But yeah, I don't know. Would you agree with that, Tom?
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends, right, Jack? Like you said, if you're able to adjust fast as a rookie, it's very hard, but guys have done it. It seems like it's a cheat code for success because, again, nobody has seen you before at the plate. Nobody's watched you on camera. You're just an unknown. Like your style might be just a little bit different than the previous guy, and that's going to throw people off. So, to put an asterisk on a guy, like RJ Walgate came in and was phenomenal. Not only was he tall and had an arm slot no one had ever seen before, but he was throwing a lot of strikes from consistently. It's an anomaly in this league, but it has been done before. Not saying that has to be every guy. Like Dallas wasn't necessarily fantastic right out of the gate, and now he's one of the league's best. Ryan Cratched, same thing. So it really just, everyone's different. Everyone develops at different paces, whether it's pitching, hitting, whether it's because of the work you put in or if you figure something out. Maybe like Brady, you hit a growth spurt. Who knows? Like there's just so many different factors, and it's different for everyone. But I'd be surprised just again by the sheer volume that these young guys play if guys like Jeremy Adams and Brady Pearson and Ty Frensnick like didn't develop into ace pitching in this league. That's just kind of what I see happening. Time will tell. Like at that point, 4 or 5 years might pass. They'll be in their college years, have fully matured and grew to their, grown into their bodies more. So we'll see. But again, Jeremy's already approaching like an ace status. He's a good number 2 arm. He's throwing shutouts and whatnot. We've seen what Ty can do a little bit. Brady, we know you've got that in the tank. So again, like there's just 3 names, for example, but like I'd be shocked if one of those guys didn't turn into like a future Cy Young just because of how much they play.
Yeah. Yeah, reps.
So,
just reps.
Just pure reps. Reps. Brady, you mentioned you and Jackson play a lot together, which is cool. I'm sure it's great to have a big bro.
Yeah.
Kind of just showing you the ropes a little bit here. But in your first few series, you had the Preds and now the Gators. Like, did Jackson give you any pointers for guys like Ryan Cratch and Sawyer Bean? Was he a friendly foe and helping you scout a little bit and prepare for these series?
No, it's funny that you say that because that's exactly what happened. Like, I think I had to kind of like ask him just because I wanted to do good so bad. Like, what is he gonna go to when he's up in the count? But like Jackson gave me like a lot of good tips on pitchers. If I was gonna get the game 2 ball, he gave me a lot of tips just specifically like about the players on the team. He helped me out a lot.
We've had a couple different sets of brothers in this league, like obviously the Schultz brothers, but then there's been a couple other odds and ends like the Beaton brothers, and there was the Carlton brothers, the Urgitis brothers. Have there ever been 2 brothers that have actually played against one another? Hopmans. Have there ever been 2 brothers that played against one another in a series? Probably the Hopmans at some point for sure. That was Preds Cobras. It had to have happened.
Well, you mean obviously outside Dan and Kyle.
Yes, I'm saying outside Dan and Kyle. I'm saying, has there been a second set? I bet it's happened. That'd be a great BL101 trivia question, I think. It'd be a great trivia question. How many sets of brothers has this league had? I think it's Schultz. Carltons, Beatons, Hopmans, Pearsons, and there might be more that I'm forgetting about, truthfully. I think it's at least 5. Yeah,
no, we've had a good amount of brothers. It is always it is interesting. I feel like more times than not, the families that have multiple of the same and sometimes of different genders, but like of the same genders that play the same sports, the younger brother often, I feel like, ends up like being better or accomplishing more. And I'm not saying you're a better wiffle ball player than Jackson. I think you've still got to prove that. But I think even in professional sports and like college sports, you see that a lot. And it does just kind of make sense because it's like,
for sure,
as the younger guy, you're just constantly going up against someone that's bigger than you and faster than you and just more experienced. And then to Brady's, like, kind of what Brady just mentioned is like, if you've got a brother or a sister that actually loves you, they're going to help you out too along the way and share some of those experiences. So like, you don't have to make the same mistakes, or, you could kind of get a little bit of a leg up. But yeah, it is always like, those are just such great like sports stories, like the brothers playing each other, like the fact that like the Harbaughs play coached against each other in the Super Bowl is just unbelievable. Like the odds of that.
It is truly insane.
So yeah, it'll be cool to have you guys tee off against each other.
Yeah, I know. I hope it happens.
Now, I don't want to be a downer.
I don't know. Do we have the Cats on our schedule?
No, we don't. Oh,
okay. Postseason maybe. Yeah. I'm not trying to take this conversation in the wrong direction, but I don't think it'll go that way. I'm thinking this will be a right turn and not a left turn. But you and Jackson get along pretty good, right? I have to assume you two are pretty close.
Oh yeah, really close.
How about this? Does your younger sister play in wiffle ball? Just out of curiosity.
So she plays like softball, like not even like, she just plays like kind of like through her school softball. But she kind of comes out in the backyards with us sometimes, hits a few balls, but like she isn't like really into it or anything.
Okay. I'm just waiting for one day, Jack, we are going to have a sister in a wiffle ball family that's going to make her way into this league. We've seen a really good female player at our Midwest Slugfest. I'm blanking on their name right now, and I should 100% know this.
I know. Sarah Huber.
Sarah Huber. That's it. Sarah Huber. And that girl deals on the mound, deals. And that's going to happen. It's going to happen, I'm sure.
Hang on a second. Do not disrespect your
Rachel?
own sister.
That was just a different era. It was a different era, Jack.
This was another sibling pair that was included in the league that we left out.
True.
And we have had a girl play in the league.
True. But it was a different era.
You got to give her flowers.
We'll give her flowers. She had a couple home runs. Was a great softball player. Just like you said, Jack, it helps to be the younger sibling, let alone then a girl playing against guys, a lot of her life, like me and my friends playing backyard sports and whatnot. So she ended up having a good softball career that she chose to end shorter than it could have. I think she could have easily played probably at the Division II level in college. But anyways, Brady, I definitely think you can tell that you've played against Jackson, who is a tremendous pitcher, good hitter. Like, I can see you have like the little brother competitive spirit in you, which is fun to watch on the field, I think. And Jack, that's exactly who you want in your clubhouse for sure.
100%. The Magic are the best when we are playing with a chip on our shoulder and we feel like we're the underdog. And what better underdog story than like the younger brother that's just been beaten down his whole life and overlooked by the older brother. I don't know if that's been happening in the
Pearson household, but maybe. Oh, that's funny.
You got Jackson in an arm wrestling match yet, Brady?
Oh no, definitely not. Definitely not.
Definitely not. Well, I feel like we've asked you a lot of questions. We got a few minutes left here. I mean, what else do we need to uncover about the story of Brady and like what your play style? Anything else you want to convey to Pipe It Up Nation, the most loyal followers of MLW, that they should look out for, maybe in your play style, in your personality, the way you play the game, what kind of guy you are in the clubhouse? What else can you say about yourself, Brady, to give people a peek behind the curtain of you as a player?
I'm just a competitor, and I'm a competitor, and I want to make a deep run in the playoffs this year. That's my goal, and I love the Magic.
Nobody better. You got to tell the nobody better story.
The
Brady.
Nobody better story.
Story? There was a few clips in the video where you can hear us yelling "nobody better." you got to tell that story.
Okay, so basically, our other draft pick, Johnny Gunn. So I have never even seen this kid nor met him until like our first series, and I'm like a big like cheer, and like I love like getting loud cheering for my teammates, and it just came out of my mouth, and I was like, "Hey, nobody better, kid, nobody better." And RJ comes up to me and he's like, "Dude, like how do you know nobody better? Like, have you even seen him play?" And I was like, "I don't know, I'm just cheering him on." So now it's kind of like an inside joke between me, RJ, and now Jackson on it of just like nobody better, and now we just say every single. Obviously, I know Johnny now, but like we just say every single time he's up now.
I love that. I love inside jokes. I'd love to be a part of one someday.
Yeah,
but I got myself in on this one because Brady and RJ like every at bat are just like they're like snickering back there like, "Hey, nobody better," and they're like laughing about it. I'm like, where did that come from? Like that's you guys aren't just like laughing about that for no reason. And then it was in the video. I forget what at bat it was, but you could hear us say "nobody better." But that was. Yeah, I thought that was a funny story.
Gotta love some good dugout banter. There was one line on the Mallards that made really no sense, but it made the video, and then I told Matt, I was like, keep saying it, it's good luck. Before my home run in 2023 in the NLCS, I didn't even hear this in real time, but if you watch the video back, you hear Matt in the background. Like, he's describing my swing, and he's like, "Come on, Tom, like water, baby." And then I hit a home run, so now I always tell Matt, I'm like, "Matt, you got to tell me like water," so I remember to keep it smooth. But gotta love some good dugout chatter. I think the camera in this series specifically picked up a lot of dugout chatter. These are two loud teams, so it was cool to really get immersed in the experience a little bit between the Gators chatter and the Magic chatter, the nobody betters and the Sawyer BN Dustin chatter from the dugout. But it was a fun one. I told Jack I really enjoyed watching this one. I'm sure it was a great one to be a part of. You guys had the D-backs next, Brady, who apparently has one of your favorite players on it. How do you prepare for a guy like Jimmy Nort, Brady? I'm sure you've watched a lot of him over the years. I don't want you to say too much on the pod to give away. Jimmy listens to all these. I know he does. And he's going to take what you say to his advantage. So be careful. But
I will.
Just tell me about how you feel about that matchup coming up.
I think we gotta go in same game plan as we did the Gators. I think we gotta attack Jimmy like early. I know he gets like he's a pretty cool, calm, collected guy, but I think we can get to him. And Magic, like I told Jack this in our first series, like we're a really like streaky team. One guy gets going, then the energy gets up, and then another guy gets a hit. I feel like that's how like we are, and it's a really good trait to have on our team. So I think if we have the energy up and we're keeping good spirits up, and we got to get to Jimmy early. That's the main thing. Get to Jimmy early. Try to get game one. I mean, I try to get all the games, but definitely get to Jimmy early. And yeah, I'm gonna be watching film on Jimmy. I know most of his arsenal. I've faced him, I think, once. But yeah, it should be a good series, and I'm looking forward to it.
This last series was to your point, Tom, like a lot of great chatter like in the video, but obviously at the actual meadows, like between, like amongst teams, between teams. You know, we got Chatty on the other side, former Metro Magic, and Chris, who, you know, they like to joke around. So I have a feeling the Diamondbacks one is going to be another one like that, because they're just, I mean, I know the Diamondbacks can kind of lock in and get serious, but they're also just a goofy bunch that like to have a good time. So I have a feeling it'll be a pretty similar series from that standpoint.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty excited about watching the Magic play this year. Some young, exciting rookies like yourself, Brady, JPG, another good one. And it was cool too, Jack, just to think back. You know, Magic versus Gators wasn't necessarily one you'd think to circle on your schedule, circa maybe 2022 per se. But like the spark was back on both teams. You know, just the young energy from the rookies and the young guys, and Sawyer leading the way on one end, and Jack, your veteran leadership with a good young core at the Magic. It just felt so refreshing, and I really enjoyed this series. There's been a lot of series this year, and I think part of it is because, again, I'm not actually there, so it's like new and exciting to watch on camera back in the post edit versus actually being there in person. But like taking in this one from the couch, I had a good time watching it. It was fun to see the guys battle, you know, guys that I have friendships with, but also the new guys who I'm excited that have an opportunity. So it was a good, entertaining 30 minutes. I enjoyed every inning, every at bat. It was fun. Hopefully that was how it was at the field.
Brady, last question here. I think this is another stereotypical one that we ask all the rookies, but what's one thing that you think the fans at home don't realize about MLW wiffle ball, whether it's about the actual series and the production day or just the guys in the league, whatever it is, like just one thing that watching the videos you wouldn't necessarily think?
I mean, maybe I thought this as a little kid, but about like us MLW guys, like everyone's like super nice. So if like you're scared to come up to anybody at the tournaments, like don't be at all. Everyone's like super nice. Like I've gotten to know everybody in the league, and like just don't be scared, and like all super nice guys. So if anybody's like scared to come up to ask for autograph or a picture, don't be, because everyone's like super nice and helpful.
I agree with that.
I have a hot take, Jack.
I
don't think this translates to everyone, because those who have met me would know it's not true. But I wonder if I'm seen as like the mean guy amongst the fans who have been in a couple tournaments. And here's why. Because I think I'm the only one in the league from the tournaments, like when the tournaments were born 7-8 years ago to 2023 or 24 when I was at every single one. I think I'm probably the only one who would tell you, like, I can't sign that autograph right now because I'm doing something else. Like, everyone else would drop what they're doing to sign stuff. Whereas, like, I felt like I was, like, the buck stopped at me to make sure, like, so-and-so took care of whatever, or a Band-Aid got to this kid, or whatever it may be. Like, because like, I wasn't going to make Kyle do that because he's, like, the face of the league, and, like, he was never going to say no to a fan who wanted an autograph when it's, like, it's his product, his videos he's creating, etc. So I feel like I've definitely told people like no before, and I wonder if that's gotten me a bad rap with anybody. I would like to think no, because I usually go back and take care of it. But
I don't think so.
I'm just saying it was a hot take.
Yeah.
It was a hot take, just a take. That's all.
That's definitely a hot take. You got to also understand that, yeah, we have a lot of people that come to our in-person events and our tournaments, but the vast majority of like people watching our videos have never met you.
True.
So they're only like, their only idea of who you are is what you do, in the videos. Now, they see the video of, Jorgie saying that you're the drip dictator, and then now maybe they do think you're a little bit mean, but
maybe.
No, I think you've got enough. You got enough in your portfolio of videos online and MLW for you not to be labeled as the mean guy. I'm confident in that.
Yeah. I appreciate that. Well, Brady, it's been great, man. Appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys having me on here again.
Okay, hard pivot. Jack, how about it? A little bangarang for the people. That was phenomenal.
That was strictly for the pod.
Oh,
strictly
gosh.
For the pod.
First at Pat, too. Just spectacular. I knew it was coming because you called me, but it was still electric.
First at bat, first pitch, too.
First pitch you saw.
First pitch. And like that, the way Kyle like edited the video, he kind of like used the GoPro footage when he's speaking the home run into existence. But like if you couldn't catch it in the video, like I kind of like before I hit the home run, I kind of like throw my hand up like this, and then I'm like, yeah, I agree. And I was responding to what Kyle said because he literally said that like I'm walking into the batter's box.
Yep.
And he's like, if Aigner hits a home run here, like that would be the highlight of the year. And my first reaction was kind of like, all right, dude, like what the heck? Like
no, a part of you was like, I'm
highlight.
Totally gonna swing as hard as I can right here.
Well, yeah, I was like, that's the highlight. Like, come on. And then I was like, you know what? I kind of agree. And then yeah, it wasn't even like a pitch that was like over the plate. It was kind of like just inside, but it was just
double hit it.
It was one of those where the timing was right, and I was like, smack that. So yeah, it felt good for sure. That was, like I said, strictly for the Pipe It Up podcast. These things don't happen often, apparently. So I think they do need to be celebrated. Actually, on the way to the series, I left I had to leave like a work. I wasn't in the office. I was like doing a site visit, sort of.
Oh, okay. Cool.
When I left, and so I told my boss that I was leaving. I go to the series, and he's familiar with the league. I tell him about it, and he's like, "Are you playing today or just managing?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm playing, but if I don't get a hit, I might be retiring here soon because it's been a while." So yeah, that one felt good to get back in the the stat column there. My name will be included on the website stats now for the regular season, no matter what. So that is better already than last year. But yeah, huge for the brand, huge for the pod.
Massive. I was when you called me that day of the series, I kind of forgot you were playing that evening. It was a weekday evening, as you just mentioned, and I see Jack's calling me, figuring he wanted to talk about the podcast or something like that. I pick it up, and first thing he says, he's like, "I got one for us, baby." And I was like, "What?" And he's like, "You're like, I got one." I'm like, "You had a bomb?" Like it all hit me that like they played that day, and I was so excited. And you were like, "Yeah, first pitch." Like you told me about it, and I was so excited to watch it, and it did not disappoint. When I saw you, like the initial clip, quote unquote, live in the video, I didn't actually hear the bangarang. So I was very happy to see that it did indeed make it in the video, and it was actually spoken from the GoPro angle there from right field. Just an Aigner staple. So the only proper thing to do now, Jack, is for me to follow that up in New York with a bomb of my own.
You have to. Absolutely have to. And the podcast would never be like that. We would be at an all-time high.
Oh my gosh. We are at an all-time high. At this point, we can only go, like we're at the ceiling. We could just go through the roof at this point if I go yard 2.
Right. Yep. Absolutely. Totally agree.
That was awesome. The fact you did that on the first pitch is impressive. And Jack, I actually have a little behind the scenes that might make that even a little bit sweeter for you. Your home run.
All right.
And I don't feel bad saying this. We're all competitors. Nothing wrong with being a little, cocky / confident. But I happened to run into the guys from Trenton, Michigan, which consists of, a lot of those 2020 rookies outside of like the 2020 rookies. The first ever draft class had like a pocket of friends that were Norp's friends, and then a pocket of friends that were like so one group was like Jimmy Norp, Jonah Heath, Michael Shima, that pocket, and also Gus is in that friend group. Matt Carlington's in that friend group. Nick Saylor's in that friend group. So that's kind of the one pocket of people we had in the first draft class. The other pocket was guys from Trenton, Michigan, which a lot of you know this already, but Jorgensen, Chadwick, Cheatham, Bonham, Curdy, those guys. So the latter half there, Trenton guys, were in the town that I live in currently in Michigan, sort of near Detroit. They were out just having fun on Saturday night, and they let me know they were out, so I went and just met them real quick for about a half hour or so. and they were talking about the series, Jack. Cheatham was, about the Gators Magic series. And he's like, man, like I was so disappointed after that. We lost that series to the Magic. He's like, Cobra. He's like, Sawyer came in, I feel like just way too cocky about how we were going to do. He's like, yeah, we're going to sweep these guys. And he's like, and even Aigner hit a home run. That guy hadn't got a hit in forever. And I burst out laughing when he said that. But I think Cheatham was just a little disappointed in the mentality going into that one. But I'll defend Sawyer and say, like, that kid is always, like, the most confident person on the field. So I don't expect anything less than that. I just don't think he had his best day. You mentioned that he wasn't really getting great movement on his super drop that day for whatever reason. Is that right, Jack?
Yeah, I don't know if it was the ball. I want to say I heard him mention, making excuses before the series that he had pitched a bunch in a different wiffle ball league,
classic.
like a few days before, or something like that. But yeah, he just didn't have it. I mean, you've seen the videos where it's just like he's untouchable, like with his super drop, and it just wasn't that Sawyer. So. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't the only one, obviously. It was kind of it was a really good, like, I think, confidence booster for us, like, kind of, Brady starting the party, but everybody sort of got involved. I mean, the last time, I would have to really think about the last time, like, as a unit, the Magic had that many different home run hitters in a series, like a regular season series. I feel like it's been a while. So, we had 4 different guys hit home runs. Which, if you can do that, I mean, that's a recipe for success. If you've got a pitcher that is going to, he's going to pitch shutouts and he's going to pitch no-hitters, and you can get, 4 different guys to help you out offensively, that is the recipe for success.
Yeah. RJ's got a history of pitching back-to-back complete game shutouts against the Gators, so nothing new. But I was impressed by RJ. Not that he was bad last year by any means. He definitely was great at times, but that looked like rookie RJ. He was just dialed in, painting corners, even featured a couple new pitches. I think Kyle called it a straight ball once, kind of by accident. I think through the camera, it looked more like a little sharp curveball, like a little splitter almost, and that was fooling guys all day. Got a lot of guys looking on that pitch. Just looked really comfortable, like he was having fun. I feel like there's just a new pep in his step this year, Jack, and I think it's a lot of it because of the rookies. There's just new energy on this team.
Yeah, I think part of it just comes from the fact that, like, he actually has a little bit of confidence in us at the plate.
Yeah, that might help too.
He doesn't feel like he's got to go. He doesn't feel like he's got to go do it all by himself, and he can, experiment a little bit, I would say, on the mound. Like if a guy gets a hold of a ball and, he lets up a few base runners or he walks a couple guys, like, he's not going to, freak out about it, because he feels like he's got that offensive support. So, yeah, he's mixed in a bunch of new pitches this year that he hasn't thrown in the past, which I think is the mark of a good pitcher. Mm-hmm. Like, we've seen guys like Ryan Cratch almost just reinvent, like, arsenals, like, year after year. So I think if RJ can continue to do that, it'll just help solidify his rank among the elite pitchers in the league.
Yeah. I think overall it was just a lot of positives for the Magic. I mean, big series win. I don't think a lot of people saw that coming. I know I didn't. I didn't predict that. I had the Gators in this one. So, I mean, I got to imagine, Jack, at 3-3, given how competitive this league is and how tight the standings are now through 3 games, every team between 2 wins and 4 wins, I'm thinking you're feeling pretty good through 2 series, or how do you feel?
Well, I would say what has been a strength for the Magic in the past has been our consistency. And when I say the past, I mean like kind of the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Our World Series run, and
Yes.
last year, it wasn't Trevor's best year, but he still he still wasn't like walking in runs, and it wasn't giving up runs in the level of what we've seen so far through our first 2 series in our game 2. And again, like I said with Brady on there, like, I'm going to keep giving those guys chances because I think they deserve that and they need it to. That's what's going to help them, like, improve, and ultimately we need them to be successful. Mm-hmm. But that being said, like, I do think in order to, just because the teams are so good, I think it's hard to always be like, yeah, we have to win like games 1 and 3 if we want to win a series. Like, I think you have to be able to steal some game 2s, and that helped us in prior years because we would steal a couple of those, and that would help us against teams with really solid aces where it's hard to beat that ace twice. Mm-hmm. I'm looking for those guys to continue to practice and get better. I'm going to keep giving them chances, but I think that would be the biggest like question mark, I would say, like as a manager for me, in terms of like, is this going to come back to bite us, at a time where it would be really, really critical to have a game 2 win. Now that being said, the offense has been there, so there's no reason we can't win in like a shootout in game 2. Mm-hmm. Because I think we've done a pretty good job. We had Grant in our first series, but this last series, not having him, I don't think it was, we definitely noticed that Grant wasn't there, but from like an offensive production standpoint, we were still able to get it done. Obviously game 3, it wasn't like we were lighting up the scoreboard, but we did enough where we were having good at bats. Jeremy had a little bit of control issues in the first inning, and we were able to walk in a run. So, I think all things considered, I'm really happy with our rookies so far, kind of like the fresh, like you mentioned, look of the Magic and sort of the feel in the clubhouse. Like, I think it's all really positive things. Everybody's, gotten going a little bit, like with their bat that's been in there. RJ looks good at the plate. So yeah, I feel like we're in a really good spot right now.
Yeah, I haven't submitted yet my like managers poll selections yet for moving into Slate 3. I don't know if you have, but truthfully, I did not have you guys coming into this slate as a postseason team. Like, not that you were bad, but I had you in the Cobras at 7 and 8, and now I might have to reevaluate a little bit. I still think I'd leave the Cobras in that 8 slot, but the Magic, you guys have surprised me just with the talent of the young guys, especially offensively, like you said. I think you are a team that has a lot of potential. Especially when you have RJ on the mound. Those game 2s, like you said, are question marks, but when you have a guy who's blanking teams, time and time again, and you have offensive production like you're getting right now from Brady and JPG yourself, like it's a good team. And you still have Grant Miller. You did this without Grant Miller. You beat a good Gators team without your best bat. So I think I'm going to need to take a look at the bottom of my power rankings a little bit and potentially shuffle things around. So that's where I'm at, Jack. I'm not saying that this team is now the best team in the league. No, but I do think that you're in the mix for sure, and I'm excited for you. I think you've made positive strides from last season.
I would say appreciate that. I would say from a Gator standpoint, having played them, having been able to kind of analyze them in person, Jeremy Adams is very good. He is a problem on the mound. I mean, at the plate too. He hasn't really, I think, had his best year at the plate so far through 2 series, but on the mound, he is a certified problem. So having, like, if you have a ball or a day where Sawyer, didn't throw 1,000 fast pitches the day before, it's a really, really scary bullpen, like really scary. Now we talked when Chadwick was on about their strategy of batting 5 guys, and I personally like just playing them, like, and it's no shade to like whoever they're like, I don't know who they would end up batting for if they were cutting a guy out. Like, I think at this point it would probably be Chris or Jeremy would be my guess, but I don't know. But you just felt like every time Stags went up, like he's just a really hard out. Like, he's just got such a good eye. Like, there's a reason like he walks so much. He just doesn't really swing at balls, and he only swings at strikes. He really only swings once you've thrown 1 strike. So he's just a tough out. And then Sawyer's been he had a grand slam. I mean, he's been batting really well. He still gets those, just like myself, I would, qualify them as probably not high quality strikeouts where you're swinging at stuff on film it looks bad, but
yeah.
I'm the same way. I mean, I had one in this series too, so he's still has that, but like his average is much better. He's hitting for power. I think that it's going to be really hard when I just think it's hard to like get in. It's harder to get into a rhythm when you've got, realistically, you might get like one at bat or like two at bats a game, like potentially. Like it's hard.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, even we batted four guys, and I played game 1 and game 3, and I had 4 at bats.
Yeah.
So it's like in terms of like getting live reps, like it's really hard, I feel like, with 5.
No, I agree. I think they're going to have to do a little bit of self-reflection, figure out what's working, but I agree. It seemed like Staggs walked the majority of his plate appearances, and like you guys really didn't feel the sting of that at all because his plate appearances were so far spaced out that you weren't really like moving guys to second base or third base with those walks because everybody else was getting out, So I think Staggs' presence in the lineup would be felt a lot more if there was only a four-man batting lineup. So we'll see what the Gators do moving forward. I still think they're a great team. Not their best day. Sawyer didn't have his best stuff, clearly, and you guys capitalized on it, made him pay for it. So, again, I think I have a little bit of reshuffling to do in my power rankings, and that's what happens as the season goes on, and you get a little bit of a larger sampler size that those adjustments should be made. So I'm not out on the Gators yet, but I do think that having a consistent ace is very important. And when you have a pitcher who relies on that nasty super drop like Sawyer does, and I used to throw that pitch, so I do know that some balls are better than others, right? Like it's not a super reliable pitch. So you got to be able to adapt a little bit. And RJ did a fantastic job of mixing in some new stuff and showcasing a little bit of a different style of his arsenal just based on, the weather that day. It was wet outside. The ball might have been a certain way. So I think the Gators have a little bit of just cleanup work to do before they're really a postseason contender. Let's put it that way. You ready to move into the comment of the week?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Comment of the week this week comes from It's Nick 0381, and he says, and I quote, "Don't know what was crazier this series, the Jack Aigner bangarang home run or AJ Ackerman smiling multiple times on camera." End quote. I'm going to go with the Aigner home run. Ackerman, you can crack a smile at him every now and then, but the Aigner home run on first AB, first pitch, it's poetry. It's poetry.
We're AJ's starting to open up, What is it now?
Year 3?
3 years in the league for him. He's finally starting to open up. I think the young guys are, bringing it out of him. So yeah, if you catch him smiling, you might want to screenshot that because it doesn't come around often.
We should get a AJ smile framed in the pod studio somewhere.
There were some fantastic memes that I was being tagged in this week. Just fantastic. I'll send some to you. The one was, I think my favorite one was so verbal meme, the wife or spouse is sleeping kind of like facing one way.
Oh,
the
yeah,
husband's
yeah,
facing the other way. She's like, he's probably thinking about other women.
Yeah.
And then like the air bubble quote in the guy's head was like, it was just quotes, and it was like Aigner with like a shot to left makes it 4-0 Magic, like something like that, like bangarang. Like it was fantastic.
So good. Oh,
it was so good.
That so much. That's so true though. It fired me up.
It was so good.
That I needed to see that, Jack, to know that it's still possible for us guys to go out there and put one over every now and then. I'm gonna give myself some charity playing time in New York for sure. And I needed the visual confirmation, like we still can do this. We've done it before, we can do it again. So
yeah.
I'm excited to play out there in front of a crowd. That's again this Saturday coming up here on Long Island. Information for that stuff is on MLWWiffleBall.com. I believe tickets are still available. Kyle, Commissioner's nodding yes. So if you're hearing this on Wednesday, you got a few more days. If you're in the New York area on the East Coast, get your tickets. Come out, see the Mallards, take on the Preds. Special guest Noah Daberco, MLW veteran, will be in attendance at that one. To wrap up, Jack, we got to make Slate 3 predictions. Slate 3 is upon us. It is here. Again, the Mallards and Preds are facing off in Slate 3 this week in Long Island. So, prediction time. The lead is currently 3 for me, Jack. You did cut it to 18-15. Don't want to gloss over that. That was a big win for the Magic. That
was huge.
The franchise and for you in the Hot Dog Challenge. 3-point swing. Yep. I had the Gators 2-1. You had Magic 2-1. So, kicking it off with Slate 3, Jack. For the tiebreaker in this one, we are going to do the over-under on hits. We have not yet heard back from stats expert Sean Huff on what that line is going to be for the average amount of hits per series. But, Jack, just know, you're going to pick the over-under based on what that average is going to be. We'll have PB pipe that in on screen for all the video listeners out there. So, I'll kick us off. Wildcats, Eagles. This one, I was tempted we haven't seen a sweep yet. I was tempted to go sweep just based on the vibes of what I've seen on the field. But I'm going to go 2-1 Wildcats.
That's interesting. I'm going to also go 2-1 Wildcats. I was actually tempted to go 2-1 Eagles just because I feel like it's almost like a can't-lose series for the Eagles.
True, but it's a must-win for the Wildcats. I'm kidding. It's not.
Yeah, and I also kind of knew you were going to pick the Cats, so I thought it might be like an opportunity to kind of claw back here. But against my better judgment, I went 2-1 Wildcats. So,
okay.
I think I get the tiebreaker there.
Yeah, you pick first this week. You want over or under on total hits in this series?
I will go. Let's go over. Over hits.
All right, Jack has the over on hits and Wildcats Eagles. We both have 2-1 Cats. Moving into Gators versus Cobras, Jack, who do you got?
This one I'm gonna go 2-1 Gators.
Okay. Another tough one. There's so much parity, it's hard. Jack, this is an emotional pick and this is an emotional series. I just think this is the most personality in MLW in terms of sheer, wearing your heart on a sleeve as a competitor. That is this series personified. Gators versus Cobras. I think the energy is going to be so high. A lot of chirping back and forth. You got Drew and Sawyer, two of the more polarizing guys. I'm going to go 2-1 Cobras, sort of against my better judgment.
Wow.
Upset pick for sure, but I just think they're going to find a way. Caden's been throwing pretty good. Maybe Sawyer's struggles will continue. I'm making an upset pick here. I'm taking the Cobras as the underdogs, 2-1. So no tiebreaker needed there.
That is going to be gut-wrenching for me if the Cobras win. To have the death be... Because I feel like if I lose another one like that, it's going to be, I don't know. I guess we'll see with these next two picks.
On the contrary, Jack, you could think...
It's going to be tough.
I'm thinking now, kind of like what you said about how you wanted to maybe go opposite of me to try to claw back. You're only down by 3. But knowing that you'd probably go Gators here, I could have went Gators just to make it so you can only gain a point at most.
I almost went Cobras because I thought you were going to pick the Gators.
Interesting. Okay, well, I got Cobes. That's what my heart's telling me. Matchup number 3. And these are not in the order of uploads, folks. This is just, we're going through matchup by matchup. Matchup 3, Mallards versus Preds. This is the Long Island series. Going to be a homer here. Going 2-1 Mallards. I did what I saw out of the Preds, honestly, in their first 2 series here, Slate 1 and 2. But I'm loving the way Jordan's pitching right now. We've done well against the Preds in the past. We've done well out of state, too. Besides Miami, I guess we didn't have a great day. So scrap that. Didn't say that. But Mallards 2-1. Book it.
Yeah, it's hard to go against Jordan in New York. So I'm going 2-1 Mallards as well. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but since I'm losing going into the slate, I do have my super pick eligible.
Correct.
And so I'm going to put that on the shoulders of none other than Jordan Robles and TC3 to get me a 2-1 series win. And this is going to be my super pick for this slate.
Okay. With that, Jack, we do have a tiebreaker that'll dictate how your super pick falls. It's my pick here. I'm going to take the over. Typically, these out-of-state series, we have some wild games with high scores. So I'm going to take the over here, thinking that that's going to follow suit. We played these guys in Philly, and the ball was flying all over the ballpark. So I'm going to go with the over, and that means you got the under. So, again, if it does end up being 2-1 over, Jack, you would just get 4 points. I would get 3. And if it goes under, then you get 5. I get 2.
Yep.
So that's that. Last but not least, the final matchup of Slate 3 before we head to the All-Star break, which is nuts. D-backs Magic, Jack. I got to think you're going with the Wands, but who do you got?
I am going Wands up. 2-1 Magic. I think this is going to be a really, like I said earlier, really fun series, just all around fun. I think it's going to be a great video, great series, but I do think we're going to edge out the Diamondbacks here on a 2-1 series win.
Again, I'm going Magic too. Jimmy's going to hate me for that. Maybe another upset pick, but I'm going to go Magic also.
Good man.
I like what I saw.
Man. I think Jimmy picked a sweep. Gators Magic. He picked Gators sweep.
He did. But Jimmy trusts his guys, and they're a great team. I'd say this is another underdog pick for me here. But I think it's just the recency bias of watching you guys beat the Gators. I just like the Magic right now. So Magic 2-1. Jack, tiebreaker is yours. You want over or under on hits?
I'm gonna go under.
Going under. Going low on your own squad?
Under hits. I think I think it's gonna be a little bit of a duel. I mean, I think RJ is gonna pitch well.
RJ Sully. Oh, that's gonna be a movie. RJ versus Sully. Two young studs.
I mean, I think we're gonna see a lot of Sully. I think we're gonna see a lot of RJ. So both of those guys, I think, are gonna perform well. I think it'll really be who has some better at bats and gets a couple key hits.
Yeah, that's like legit 2 of the nation's top pitchers in that like age group going at it. So that's gonna be electric. Circle that one. That's the one to. I mean, obviously the Long Island series is gonna be cool. Circle, and this is a great slate. This is like rivalry week. Like Kyle said that too. You got Wildcats Eagles, a classic matchup. You got Gators Cobras, 2 of the louder teams in the league. Then you got Mallards Preds playing in Long Island, and then you got D-backs Magic featuring 2 of the better young arms in the sport of wiffle ball. This is as good as it gets, folks. Slate 3, MLW back. Call it department. That's all I got, Jack. That's it for me on this one. What do you got? Anything?
That's a wrap.
It's a wrap.
I'm hoping that Tom can get on the board.
I'm praying.
Out of state series.
Everyone pray Saturday.
And we
can
just
prayers.
keep this going. Let's just keep this going, Tom. Let this be the podcast that we look back and say podcast 254 was the turning of the tides, and we just started hitting bombs left and right, the 2 of us.
Left and right. Well, I'm hoping East Coast Tom comes back in full force here, and I hit a couple home runs. We'll see how it goes. But looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing the fans out there. Thank you all for tuning in at home. And next week, hopefully I'm in a good mood and a little less sweaty. I'm battling the heat wave right now. So we'll see y'all next week.
Pump it up.